They told us the era of space exploration belonged to governments, that astronauts were selected, not chosen, that you needed years of training, rigorous physical tests, military backgrounds, and a badge from NASA, Roscosmos, or ESA to even dream of touching the stars. But this week, everything changed. Not with a bang, not with a rocket explosion, but with the quiet hiss of airlock doors. As an unthinkable figure floated through the International Space Station, Shubhanshu Shukla, not a career astronaut, not a soldier, not a government-trained cosmonaut, an Indian AI entrepreneur, a private citizen, a scientist, a man who bought his place in orbit. The media is calling it a triumph, a milestone, a collaboration. But if you look closer, something doesn't add up. NASA's briefings are oddly vague. Axiom Space is celebrating, but not explaining. And the world's most powerful space agency, the one that sent humans to the moon, is choosing its words very carefully. Why? Because this mission isn't just historic, it's dangerous to the system. What Shukla is doing aboard the ISS might change the future of space forever. AI experiments in zero gravity, autonomous protocols, synthetic biology, and something being quietly referred to as cognitive override training. What does that mean? Why is no one explaining his mission clearly? And what's the real reason NASA docenti want to talk about what's really happening above our heads? You're about to find out. But I'll warn you, once you hear the full truth, you'll never look at the space station the same way again. For generations. The title astronaut has conjured a very specific image in the collective imagination. A disciplined, government-trained, highly specialized individual, often military, selected through an intensely competitive and secretive process. These are people who have undergone years of grueling physical and mental training, who wear the insignia of their nation's space agency with pride, and who are entrusted with the safety of missions that cost billions of dollars and represent the hopes of entire countries. Their very presence in orbit symbolized national prestige, scientific achievement, and geopolitical dominance. The International Space Station itself, a marvel of international cooperation, is built and operated under tight government oversight. But on June 26, 2025, all those long-standing rules and assumptions were appended by a single individual stepping aboard the station. Not a career astronaut from NASA or Roscosmos, but Shubhanshu Shukla, an Indian civilian AI entrepreneur and private citizen. His journey to the ISS was not sanctioned by a government space agency, but made possible through a private company called Axiom Space, marking a watershed moment in human spaceflight history. This momentous occasion was not just a milestone for India or for commercial space travel, but a profound challenge to the very structure of space exploration, as we have known it for decades. Shukla did not come to orbit with decades of astronaut training or a background in aerospace engineering. Instead, he brought expertise in artificial intelligence and biotech, fields poised to revolutionize life both on Earth and in space. He trained privately, underwent accelerated preparation, and secured a ticket aboard SpaceX's Crew Dragon. But the true significance lies in what he represents. The first civilian to pierce the veil of exclusive government, control over space. Access a symbol of a new era where space is not just the domain of nations, but open to entrepreneurs, scientists, and private citizens. Yet while the world was quick to celebrate this achievement, the responses from space agencies were notably muted. NASA's official statements were brief and lacked detail. The mission's scientific agenda remained shrouded in vague phrases like AI research and biotech experiments, offering little insight into the true nature of Shukla's work on the ISS. The media coverage, largely celebratory on the surface, failed to dig into the deeper questions surrounding the implications of this shift toward privatized space access. Speculation grew rapidly in online forums and think tanks. Why was NASA so reserved in its disclosures? What kind of experiments was Shukla conducting that warranted such secrecy? And what does it mean for the future of human spaceflight if private citizens can now conduct potentially groundbreaking, even classified research in orbit? This moment is more than just about one man in space. It represents a tectonic shift in power, control, and opportunity. Shukla's journey questions the very gatekeeping mechanisms that once made spaceflight an elite club. It forces us to confront new, ethical, legal, and strategic challenges. Will privatization lead to more innovation and progress, or will it spark a race for exclusive technologies guarded behind corporate walls? Are we ready to handle a future where billionaires and private corporations decide who goes to space and what is discovered there? As Shukla floats aboard the ISS, conducting experiments that blend AI and synthetic biology, he embodies the hopes and anxieties of a rapidly changing space era. He is a pioneer on the frontier not just of space but of new power dynamics, between nations and corporations, between transparency and secrecy, between public good and private interest. This is the civilian who shook the system, and his mission signals that the era of space being controlled solely by governments is fading. But with this change comes uncertainty, intrigue, and a question that no one has fully answered. What comes next in the new age of commercial spaceflight? NASA's collaboration with private firms like Axiom Space is historic, yet strangely opaque. The agency openly supports commercial spaceflight, but carefully controls the narrative. While Axiom celebrates and NASA issues brief statements, the public receives only fragmented information. Major media outlets echo official lines without scrutiny. Why? This silence suggests discomfort with a new era where control over orbital science is decentralized. There's a strategic balancing act, encouraging private investment and innovation while preserving NASA's influence in safeguarding national security interests. This partnership reflects a complex, high-stakes relationship where what is not said may be more important than what is shared. Axiom Space's approach bypasses decades of geopolitical entanglement. Instead of governments negotiating complex bilateral agreements, Axiom sells seats to private individuals and companies, expanding access exponentially. This disrupts traditional space diplomacy and forces agencies to adapt rapidly. Shukla's inclusion as a private Indian astronaut, rather than a government SRO astronaut, sidesteps bureaucracy and political delays. It exemplifies how commercial spaceflight accelerates global participation in orbit without the heavy machinery of diplomacy. But it also raises questions about regulation, oversight, and the potential for conflict when commercial interests operate freely in a traditionally governmental domain. One of the mission's most guarded secrets is Shukla's AI research, officially described as adaptive cognitive modeling and AI-human interaction testing. It hints at a bigger agenda. Could AI systems on board the ISS gradually replace human functions? The prospect of AI's assisted or fully autonomous crew in space challenges decades of human-centered spaceflight philosophy. If successful, these systems would drastically reduce the need for highly trained human astronauts, lowering costs and risks, but also disrupting astronaut careers and traditions. This AI evolution could be the dawn of a new space age, but it also sparks fears of losing human control in critical mission decisions. Reports suggest Shukla's mission involves synthetic biology experiments, such as 3D printing tissues or testing bioengineered materials in microgravity. The ability to create medical or manufacturing solutions off-Earth would revolutionize long-term space missions and Earth-based biotech, but it also opens Pandora's box about regulation, bioethics, and potential weaponization of such technology. Synthetic biology in orbit blurs lines between science fiction and reality, yet the scientific community and the public receive little clarity. It's fueling speculation and concern about undisclosed research goals. Transparency has been a cornerstone of space exploration, but Shukla's mission deviates sharply. Unlike past crewed flights with detailed daily schedules and experiment logs, his mission data is sparse and vague. This opacity may be a symptom of commercial confidentiality or strategic secrecy. It risks eroding public trust in scientific collaboration norms. It begs the question: how much control do private companies have over research aboard the ISS? And who decides what is shared publicly? Typical ISS missions have clearly defined durations, but Shukla's stay remains ambiguous. This uncertainty fuels theories that his mission includes long-term tests of AI systems or biotech experiments requiring extended observation. It may also reflect logistical complications in commercial crew rotations. The murkiness around timing challenges traditional mission planning transparency and hints at a new operational model where private interests dictate mission parameters. As private firms conduct experiments, the question of intellectual property rights looms large. Data and inventions created in orbit may become proprietary, protected by corporate patents instead of public domain or governmental sharing agreements. This privatization threatens the open scientific exchange that has driven space progress and could lead to monopolies over critical space-based technologies. It raises complex legal and ethical questions about who truly owns space research and its benefits. Shukla's flight marks a subtle but profound shift for India. While ISRO's government missions receive headlines, this private astronaut's journey symbolizes India's emergence in commercial space, leveraging partnerships rather than government programs. This new pathway offers faster access and showcases India's growing tech prowess and entrepreneurial spirit. It challenges established space powerhouses and signals a multipolar future where commercial actors from emerging nations take center stage. Behind the scenes, Shukla's mission plays a role in geopolitics. It strengthens U.S.-India space ties without formal government coordination, creating a parallel diplomacy channel through private enterprise. This strategy may sidestep diplomatic gridlocks, but also complicates international space governance. It introduces shadow diplomacy that blends commercial interests with national agendas, potentially destabilizing traditional cooperation frameworks. Testing neural networks and AI in space is risky yet potentially transformative. Microgravity presents unique challenges and opportunities for machine learning systems, possibly enabling new cognitive capabilities. However, reliance on AI for critical space functions raises risks of malfunction, loss of human oversight, or unforeseen consequences. Shukla's mission may be pioneering these frontiers, but with high stakes for astronaut safety and mission success, the concept of an AI-controlled space station has long been a staple of science fiction, a tantalizing vision where autonomous systems manage the daily operations, maintenance, and scientific research of orbital habitats without the need for constant human oversight. What Shubhanshu Shukla is reportedly testing aboard the ISS could be the very first practical step toward this future. His AI experiments focus on advanced neural networks capable of learning, adapting, and potentially even making mission-critical decisions. If these systems prove reliable in the harsh, unpredictable environment of space, it could revolutionize how humanity operates beyond Earth's atmosphere. The implications are staggering. A fully AI-managed station would drastically reduce the cost and risk of human spaceflight by minimizing the need for human presence, enabling longer missions and allowing the station to operate continuously, even during times when astronauts cannot be present. Such autonomy could be essential for future deep space missions, such as lunar bases or Mars colonies, where communication delays and the dangers of space require near-total independence from Earth. However, its transformation also poses profound ethical and practical questions. How much control should we entrust to AI? Could a fully autonomous station behave in ways unpredictable to its human creators? Would the reduction in human presence diminish public interest and support for space exploration? Furthermore, as machines take on more responsibility, we must grapple with questions about accountability. If an AI system makes a critical error leading to disaster, who is to blame? This emerging frontier blends technological promise with uncertainty, placing humanity at a crossroads. Embrace the efficiencies and possibilities of a managed space, or grapple with the risks and moral dilemmas that come with ceding control to machines in orbit. NASA, once the uncontested leader of human spaceflight, now faces a rapidly changing landscape it can neither fully control nor reverse. Despite its critical role in space exploration, NASA is bound by political constraints, fluctuating budgets, and international treaties that limit its agility. Meanwhile, private companies like Axiom Space operate with increasing independence, often backed by wealthy investors eager to push the boundaries of commercial spaceflight. This rise of private enterprise has been supported, if cautiously, by NASA itself, which sees partnerships as a way to accelerate innovation while sharing costs. Yet this shift places NASA in a paradoxical position. It must encourage commercial space development to maintain relevance, but also watches authority and control over space activities gradually slip away. The agency's silence on the full details of Shukla's mission reflects It's delicate balance, a mixture of limited influence and strategic discretion. NASA can't simply halt private missions without risking political backlash, losing public support, or jeopardizing the momentum toward a sustainable space economy. Moreover, global competition intensifies this dynamic, with countries like China expanding their own space capabilities, compelling NASA to maintain its edge through collaboration with private industry rather than strict regulation. This uneasy coexistence marks a new era in space exploration, one defined by cooperation and competition between government agencies and commercial entities. NASA's challenge will be navigating this complex environment without losing its leadership role, a task made more difficult as companies innovate faster than bureaucracies can adapt. Shubhanshu Shukla's mission fits squarely into a broader trend driven by billionaire entrepreneurs and private capital reshaping space exploration. The so-called billionaire blueprint is characterized by rapid innovation fueled by vast personal fortunes, a willingness to take unprecedented risks, and an eagerness to commercialize new technologies. This model has accelerated milestones once thought decades away: reusable rockets, commercial space stations, and private astronaut missions. However, while this influx of private funding has democratized access to space and spurred breakthroughs, it also raises troubling questions about the commodification of what was once a collective human endeavor. Space science risks becoming a marketplace dominated by those with the deepest pockets, potentially sidelining public interests, scientific openness, and global cooperation. The privatization of orbital research could lead to monopolies over essential space technologies and data, creating inequalities in who benefits from space discoveries. Moreover, this trend risks turning space into a commercial battleground where profit motives overshadow ethical considerations and long-term sustainability. The billionaire-driven race raises concerns about transparency, regulatory oversight, and the potential for conflicts of interest. Ultimately, this transformation challenges humanity to reconcile the promise of innovation with the need for responsible stewardship of the space environment, a balance that is still very much in flux. As private citizens like Shubhanshu Shukla undertake increasingly complex and risky experiments in orbit, the question of responsibility and risk management becomes urgent. Space is inherently dangerous, and the introduction of novel AI protocols and synthetic biology experiments only amplifies these risks. What if an AI system malfunctions, leading to critical system failures? What if bioengineered materials or organisms behave unpredictably in microgravity, threatening the safety of the crew or station integrity? Current international space law and regulatory frameworks are poorly equipped to handle such scenarios, especially when experiments are conducted by private entities with proprietary technologies and limited transparency. The potential for accidents raises difficult questions. Who is liable for damages, both human and material? What protocols exist for emergency interventions when private crews are involved? How are risks communicated to the public, and how much information remains classified? These unanswered questions expose significant governance gaps that must be addressed to avoid catastrophic outcomes. Shukla's mission serves as a case study highlighting the urgent need for robust oversight mechanisms, international cooperation, and clear accountability standards. Without these, the privatization of space could lead to dangerous precedents, threatening not only the safety of astronauts, but the future of sustainable space exploration itself. The stakes have never been higher. This mission, ISS, just a milestone. It's a mirror reflecting the future of space exploration. The quiet docking of India's first private astronaut signals the rise of commercial power in orbit and the fading dominance of government monopoly. It raises urgent questions about transparency, control, ethics, and the very nature of human presence in space. As we watch Shubhanshu Shukla's journey unfold, we face a choice: embrace this new era of opportunity and innovation, or confront the risks of privatized space where secrets and profits might overshadow humanity's shared quest for the stars. What do you think is really happening on the ISS? Are we witnessing a bold leap into the future, or the start of a dangerous privatized space race? Comment below with your thoughts. And don't forget to subscribe to the Daily Scope for daily deep dives into the cosmic frontier, the secrets, breakthroughs, and stories no one else will tell you. Stay curious. Keep looking up.